All right, guys, welcome to School Facilities and Operations Podcast. I'm Burke Jones. I'm a school facility guy in the central part of Kansas. And these shows just are made for people like us. I mean, I started this podcast to be able to talk to whoever I wanted to talk to. So I talked to a lot of other facility people in the K-12 school arena, but I also sometimes have on trade partners where really pick their brains about what we need to know as we're looking at projects or um, other things that we need to get done in our own districts. So uh, having a blast with the show. I am getting more back to a regular schedule. I'm going to be putting out 2 episodes a month. Um, and it's going to be a really exciting year. Got some good things already recorded for you all, so stay tuned. One thing, if you like this podcast and you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I would love for you to go leave us a review. Um, Obviously, I want 5-star reviews. If you don't think it's a 5-star, shoot me an email and tell me why. Um, but yeah, those reviews really help us a lot, get the word out. And Also just share it with your friends and other people you know in the industry. Um, I love making these things, and we try to provide a lot of value on every episode. So if you could do those things, it would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. So today I got a new friend, I would say, Mike Williams. He is the director of facilities and maintenance at the Piper School District, which is US 203. It's up around the Kansas City area in Kansas. Mike and I serve on the KADPF board together. I'm a brand new board member. Mike has been there for a while, so we'll get into some of that as well. Um, so, Mike, welcome. I'm glad to talk with you today.
Thanks for having me.
So, one thing I'm fascinated by is the career paths people take to get to the positions like ours. I mean, I think when we're in high school, no one's like, I want to be the director of facilities and maintenance at a school district. But I mean, everybody has kind of a interesting path to get there. And so, I guess tell me a little bit about your career path and kind of where you got started and how you got to where you are.
Well, I'll start off by telling you I was that kid in high school that probably caused the most havoc and destruction of anybody. So I think a lot of this is karma of me being a facility director right now. I've got out of college, got into I've been in construction my whole life. My dad had a cabinet shop. I've been working there forever. I still own it to this day. Do a little bit of that on nights and weekends still. But we were in the cabinet business. We got into a little bit of remodel, a little bit of house building, a little bit of light commercial stuff. Um, Things were going pretty good. Back in '08, my um, I was a baseball player in college, so my passion to coach kicked in. Had a son that I'd been coaching kind of up through the ranks. Knew the athletic director in Lansing. There was an opening for a baseball coaching position, and I applied for that and received that and was a Rule 10 coach. They had an opening come up in maintenance. Um, just just a regular worker bee. Applied for it. Talked to the superintendent a little bit. He knew my background. He said, our director is getting ready to retire in a couple of years. We'd like you to kind of step in and fill that spot if you want to. Thought about it, hawed about it a little bit, and said, sure, why not? So signed up, got hired, worked a couple of years up at the Lansing School District underneath the existing director. He transitioned out. I kind of transitioned in and found out all the fun, joyful stuff that we get to do on a daily basis. So was there for about 16 years. Opportunity came open down here in Piper. It's a growing district. They're doing a lot of shaking and moving. We're doing some innovative things as education wise. We're wall to wall academies right now. I think we're the first in the state of Kansas. It's wall to wall academies. So we were going to go for a bond issue and turn one of our elementary schools, as weird as this sounds, we're turning the elementary school into a high school. So
Okay.
the plan from the get-go with the elementary school was to add on and make it a high school. because they could never pass a bond big enough to build one big complex. This is
Right.
what I hear through history. So um, our new superintendent, um, we're, like I said, we're a growing district. She felt the need to go out for a bond to get the high school project done. She did. Thankfully, it passed. It passed. Unfortunately, it passed before COVID, and then post COVID, we're trying to build. So, been a little bit of price increases here and there. So it's been a little bit of a challenge to maneuver the pathway of how we're going to get completed. But we feel like we're on a good path. Um, Also, when I was at Lansing, we also built the Lansing High School and remodeled the Lansing Middle School while I was there. So I was
Okay.
the district's coordinator for those
Right.
projects. So I've had a little bit of experience in the building thing. So I'd say my strong suit is I come from a construction background. And I worked for a house building company where we built in about 5 years. I think we built 650 houses, and I
Oh,
was
wow.
project manager for that. So I've had a little bit of experience dealing with subcontractors and stuff like that. So, but yep, that's kind of how I got there. I got about, I was lucky enough to get into the school district system. And those of you that aren't in Kansas and those of you that are in Kansas will understand I'm an 85er guy. So we need 80
Nice.
points to retire. I got in like a month before they changed the rules, so I feel very fortunate. So hopefully here in about 5, 6 years, um, I can start reaping that benefit a little bit. So
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so you went through a lot of stuff. Let's dive in.
okay.
I'm not an 85er, by the way. So I only started in the school district 4 years ago, so my retirement benefits are significantly different than yours, but it's still a good deal. I mean, it
Yeah,
is. It's
it
still a
is.
great deal. Um, so let's go back to kind of when you transitioned into like your first director job at Lansing.
Okay.
What were some of the surprises you had there? Like what, and were there any like real challenges, I guess maybe personally or professionally that you were like, oh wow, like,
I think
maybe I
that
got to,
I think one of the biggest challenges we all face, and I still face it today, and I'm still working on it. I'm always a work in progress, is communicating. Um, when you're when you're in fields and different fields communicate different than other people. Like construction fields communicate one way, and teachers and administrators communicate another way. So that's a
right,
big hurdle and a boundary that you have to overcome. Like I said, I work on it every day. There are days where old construction me comes out and has to go take a breath and come back and be administrator me. But I think we all fight that. I think there are challenges. Um, in any line of work you're in, there's challenges, and
right,
it all boils down to communication. And you just got to be able to communicate properly and efficiently to get things taken care of, basically.
right.
So,
I mean, that's super insightful because you're right. I mean, the level of communication that's required at a director level position is, I mean, it's significant and it's a very professional type communication. Like I've never written as much as I write in this job, you know, between board memos and giving board reports and um, just updates and all kinds of, I mean, there's just a lot more writing
yeah,
and I've actually kind of grown to enjoy it, but I have to work at it.
yep,
Like I'm
I'd
just not
agree.
naturally good at it.
And another big growing spurt for me, I would say, once I got into this field, is really taking a step back and trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes, like your help, your staff, getting to know your staff a little bit, getting your staff to trust in you. We go by a team concept here at Piper, so
Right.
we're all the same. We're all the same, and
Yeah.
everybody has problems. And if we know somebody's having a problem, we try to pitch in and help them out, or you know if they've got to be gone for something, we take care of their work. My staff kind of all works together. We're a facilities team. So whether
Yeah.
we're cleaning buildings or whether we're setting up events or whatever it might be, we're all kind of got each other's back. And when we need help, we all pitch in and do the same amount of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting. It always makes me a little uncomfortable when someone like, I don't know if I'm meeting someone's family or wife and they're like, yeah, Burke's my boss.
Yeah,
And I'm
I'm
like,
not.
you know what? we work together. Like I have a different role than you, and I
Right.
might set vision and I might, and yeah, there's that stuff you have to do as the director, evaluations and things like that. But I just feel like we're all like one team
Yes.
and we're all working together to get there.
Yep. And a lot of that is building that team. I mean, there are people that quite honestly don't fit on the team sometimes.
Right.
You have to take time to either, this sounds bad, probably, but coach them up or coach them out. I mean,
Right.
just you can't have a bad apples bringing down the whole team. So
Yeah.
it's a tough balance, a tough challenge. I hate the word boss. I hate the word supervisor.
I
I mean,
know.
we're all in this together. I mean, I'm out there plowing snow like them guys are when it snows. Like
Right.
everybody else. I mean, we're not any different. I mean,
Right.
I say it all the time, and maybe somebody on the podcast will actually listen to this, but I always say that, if we all come to work and do what's best for the kids, it'd be a great place to be.
Yep. Absolutely. I'll tell you, that's the thing I think that is, I mean, I started in this position 4 years ago. Like I've said this before, but like I was an architect before. And I think one of the biggest joys I get out of this is that we're serving other people. We're not just trying to maximize the profit,
Right.
you know? And that is a very, very cool thing.
Hmm.
And I can see it through all of our staff. I mean, I can ask a custodian, like, what do you like working? Why do you like working here? Because I get to be around the kids and I get to serve the kids. I
Yep.
mean, it's everybody, HVAC guys,
Yeah.
plumbers, they all feel that way, or I don't think they would be here, quite honestly.
Right. Well,
Um,
you and I both know it's not for the pay. So I mean,
right.
try to factor there. But yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, a lot of our job is serving. I mean, that is
Yeah.
our job. We're here
Right.
for the needs of our district, our community, our kids. I mean,
Right.
there are times where it does get taunting, and it's like, holy cow, I want to take a break from serving it. But they're the rewards too.
Yeah.
When you see the kids, when like with my team, my grounds team, I always tell them that, I want to make every high school event the best it can be, because it could be the last one that these kids play in. Some of these
Right.
kids won't go to college, but we want to make it as special as it can be for all of them, just in case it is the last.
Right.
The kid will remember that, and
Yeah.
that's kind of our motto with stuff. We try to make everything the best it can be, so it's a memorable experience.
Right.
And that goes back to the serving thing. It
Yeah.
goes back to wanting to do. You got to want to do good. I kind of always say sometimes,
Yep.
and that's the drive. That's the fuel of the fire. How can we make it better than it was last time? You know,
Exactly.
so, and that's kind of what feeds us up here. We try to do as much as we possibly can within reason.
Yeah.
There's reasonable requests out there, but you know,
Right.
we do the best we can. So
So was it a hard transition for you when you went from, basically working in maintenance to being the director when you at
I,
Lansing there?
I tell you, it wasn't really too hard at Lansing for me, just for the fact that I really didn't have staff. It was me
Oh,
and a couple other guys. Uh,
okay.
we were a fairly good sized district. Took a lot on upon the three of us to get stuff done. We mowed the grass, we did the work orders. I mean, we did a lot, you know. Um, never really had the um, never really had a huge staff at Lansing as far as people wise goes. Reasons unknown, it's just kind of we got stuff done.
Right.
That was our motto: get stuff s done. So, but but
Yeah,
we
we got to keep this
survived it.
kid friendly.
Yep, we survived it, and we were just I was very fortunate to have people working with me that understood what we had to do, and it was like we came in the morning, we got with it, we got everything done, and came back the next day and did the same thing,
Yeah.
So it was kind of it was a rat race for a little while,
Yeah.
Then when we went into the construction side of things, they did bring on a couple people to help balance that avenue out a little bit. So um, yeah, but when I came to Piper, it was a big transition.
Yeah.
Um, because I have a staff here,
Hmm.
and it's when you never had a staff and you're used to doing everything yourself, and then you have a staff, I think that could be more challenging than the flip side of that,
Right.
because now you're you're responsible and you're trying to find you can get a lot more stuff done, but you've got to do the coordination and the navigation for that to get done. And
Right.
you have a lot of people. Um, I would say it's pressure. I mean, you got
It
pressure
is.
to get things done every day,
Yeah.
and you gotta identify people's strengths and weaknesses, and you just try to put them in positions to where they can use their strengths. Um, some of my guys aren't good with mechanical stuff, but yet they can mow. So
Right.
you don't expect my non-mechanical guys to go do mechanical stuff. I try not to set guys up for failure. I try to set them
Right.
up for success so we all can be efficient and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was probably it was probably more challenging to switching over to having a staff than it was to not have a staff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I walked in here, it was like people looked at me and they wanted decisions. Like, oh, okay. I mean, it's a different thing.
It
It
is.
is different.
Well,
Um,
and I was when I came into Piper about the first 3 weeks, months, I just asked questions.
uh-huh.
And I gathered as much information as I could. And I tell my staff all the time, my job is to make your job easier. And if I'm
Right.
not doing that, let me know. And
Right.
if there's ways I can do it, let me know. And don't be
Right.
scared to come talk to me. Doors always open.
Yeah.
We got to find out. We have to find ways to make things easier for everybody.
Right.
And we've been fortunate enough to do that. And I'm fortunate enough to have an administration that allows me to to get things and to do things a little differently to to achieve those goals of making things more efficient and more easier on
Yeah.
people. I tell people all the time, work smart, not hard.
Yeah,
Probably one of
absolutely.
the funniest stories is when I first came in, we had no bathroom cleaning machines in Piper. So like the Tyvek or
Uh-huh.
there's a couple other brands out there. So going around, my custodial staff's on their hands and knees scrubbing toilets with brushes and rags. And I'm like, what are we doing here, folks? I was like, well, this is how we always do it. And I'm like, well, there's a better way. So we went out and bought some bath machines. I think they're CC17s or something from Hilliard. And you don't have to touch anything in the bathroom when you clean it. I mean, you go in there, it's a low pressure soap dispensing system. Then you kick it over to a high pressure wash system. It's got a shop back on there. You suck all the water up and you'll walk out. I tell you, it was like pulling teeth to get my people to use these machines. They're like, well, that's not how we do this. And I'm like, guys, I'm telling you, it's easier, it's cleaner, it's safer. You'll love it when it's all said and done. And it was probably a good month, month and a half of just
Mm-hmm.
trying to just stay on them and say, guys, okay, you start out nice, let's just kind of ease into this. And then they really start fighting you. Then it's like, no, this is the standard. This is what we're doing. Okay, so
Right.
get on. You need to get on train to get off train, kind of thing. Um, so yeah, but now they love them. If I was to
Yeah.
take them away, I'd have a rebellion.
So we have some of those at our high school because it's just so big. I mean, we have over 2,000 kids at our high school, but
Yeah,
at our elementary schools and middle schools, we don't.
really.
And I've wondered about that if it would save time or those
I
kind
tell
of
you,
things.
at the end of the day, it's a much cleaner. I mean, you're getting the whole system, and it depends on your wall coverings and stuff like that. I mean,
Right.
majority of our bathrooms are tile, so far up around your stools and all that kind of.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're able just to go in, put the chemical down, let it sit for a little bit, hose everything down, clean it up, and the biggest difference I think I saw was with not my staff but the district staff noticing, wow, bathrooms are a lot cleaner than they've ever been.
Really?
And then
Huh.
that just kind of spurs a little bit of, hey, maybe they are doing something besides driving around in the truck all day, looking good. Yeah.
Do you have any trouble, like if you have metal restroom partitions, Do they rust or
No,
anything?
we
Okay.
because what we do is we spray them and then we take a squeegee and we squeegee them down, so we don't let really too much water stand on them. And you're not talking about a lot of. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, some of my staff will wipe them down with a towel after they're done,
Right.
just to do the little extra, But
Hmm.
typically overnight, by the time you get up back the next day, it's dry
Yeah.
and there's no water standing on it. So, and most of
Okay.
our partitions are plastic,
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, ours are too.
So.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So you're really over custodial as well, right?
Oh yeah, we're the
Okay.
we're the custodial maintenance grounds, you name it. I tell everybody says, "What's your title?" I said, "I'm the night custodian." Here's what I am. But nobody needs to talk to
Have
me.
you guys had trouble with staffing up there?
We struggle with staffing. I'm very fortunate to have um, the daytime custodial staff is still 90% in house, but our nighttime custodial staff we outsource right now.
Okay.
we just I've been here 2.5 years. I think I've had 6 applicants for
Oh,
custodian.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's a whole nother COVID situation too. I mean, people don't want to work,
Yeah.
and you try to explain um, the upsides to being here for like benefits and insurance and retirement. Bottom line of the day, they want to know what the check is. They don't care
Right.
what it's insurance or benefits. What am I taking home? Well, I can
Yeah.
take this home down the street at Subway or McDonald's. I can make more,
Yeah.
but there's no future for that.
Right. And
So,
it's not probably full time and a lot of things that we get here. So,
so it's a tough matrix. We're very fortunate. We started outsourcing about the time I came on. We tested the outsourcing waters. Um, it was a challenge. It's the probably the biggest challenge with outsourcing is your staff and the outsourcing staff understanding that we're all on the same team and we're working
right.
together. That
Yeah.
I still fight it to this day, you know.
Hmm.
And it's not him and her or them and us. It's we're all here for the same purpose, guys. And they are not
Right.
take nobody's here to take anybody's job. You
Right.
know, it's
Yeah.
one of them deals to where we all just have to work as a team, you
Yeah.
know. So the first year was a struggle. And I think if you talk to anybody in that outsources custodial services, you'll find out it probably takes about a year to get the right people in place, get everything under control, get the systems and all that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, I mean, we're right now, I feel really confident where we're at with our outsourcing. We've had some really good luck this year. Our work orders have probably cut down 75% from a cleaning standpoint because
Wow.
everybody gets it. And
Right.
they we've developed the protocol. This is the standard. This is what we do every day. This is what we do every night. There's no questions anymore. And chemical wise, one thing we have a little bit of a there's a little bit of a language barrier with some of our outsourced staff.
Right.
Genius me figured this out about 6 months into the process. I'm like, why is this not working? Why are we not using the right stuff? Well, come to find out, all of our job cards and all of our chemical cards were in English,
Right.
and some of them can't speak or read English. I mean, very
Right.
well. And I'm not saying that as a knock, but I wasn't meeting their needs.
Right.
And finally the light bulb went off. It's like, well, we need to do this to where people can read it and understand it. So now we have different sets of job cards up in the custodial closets. So now everybody knows, and that really smoothed the process out. But
Oh,
slow
that's
learner
interesting.
guy here, I figured that out. It's like, why is this not working? And then one day the light bulb went off. I'm like, oh, okay. So, but that really, really streamlined everything once we got that taken care of.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just don't, it's weird and that's part of that. Just, it doesn't affect you. So you don't think about it.
Right.
And then when it immediately affects you, you got to find a solution. And we just, like I said, one day the light bulb went off and we took care of it. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's one of them other challenges that we fight with stuff.
Right.
The unknown challenges
Yeah.
that you don't even think about. So
Yeah. I say that's so true. Let's talk a little bit about your bond because I think you passed your bond at an interesting time in the world, right
Yes.
before we all shut down for COVID.
Yep.
So were you working on were projects under construction during COVID?
We had nothing started
Okay.
uh, until after COVID, but
Okay.
it passed before COVID. So we're a little bit of a disadvantage. You know, everybody knows that prices have, there's been a little bit of inflation, you know, figuring, you know, if we figure we've heard numbers anywhere from 25 to 35% inflation on stuff, you know, I kind of tend to figure on the lower side. So I say 20%. So 20%, you know, we're roughly about, you know, I think it's $19,000 in the hole behind at a 20% inflation rate. So
What was your total bond? That
63 million.
63 million?
Yeah. So yeah, it was it's been a little bit of a challenge. We've created some, well, I wouldn't say we've taken some different avenues to get some stuff done. We have a CMAR that's doing our high school edition for us, and we actually were talking to them about doing our whole bond project, but with cost being an issue and trying to get our community, our staff, our kids, everything we possibly can, we made a decision to take some stuff in-house and do some general contracting in-house through myself and our administration. So my role has switched, has either shifted or added, or however you want to look at it, is to kind of be in the CMA, the CM for our in-house projects we have right now. So there's quite a bit of RFQs, there's vetting, there's awarding bids, there's breaking out the projects in different phases of what we're going to try to accomplish. So summer's going to be a wild ride. We're planning on moving 3 schools and remodeling
Oh,
2 schools all this summer and be open in the fall. So it's
nice.
going to be, we feel we have a great plan. Um, you know, it has to be executed, and we feel like we've got the right people in there to execute the plan. So it's just going to be, we're going to blink and we're going to be back in school this summer.
Yep.
What's going to happen?
I'll tell you what, we opened 3 brand new schools essentially, and it all went really, really smoothly. But I would say that I underestimated the amount of work that it takes to open a building.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And yeah, if any of you guys out there have ever done it, you know, but
Yeah,
it's a lot. And it's a lot for at the building level for that staff as well. I mean,
well,
establishing
exactly.
culture, establishing norms, like where can people hang things? Where can, what are we going to allow in classrooms and all that? I mean, there's a lot of culture that has to be formed, and it takes a lot of work to make that happen.
Yes, it does. You know, and there's a lot of expectations that come with that too. And sometimes all expectations aren't met. So there's the whole other hurdle of,
Right.
okay, sometimes we have to adapt, you know. And some people are really great at adapting, some people aren't very great at adapting. So it's there's always that challenge, you know, but I tell you, from our viewpoint, we try to communicate as much as we possibly can of what's coming, what to expect. You know, my superintendent puts out a Tuesday talk every Tuesday, and it's always updated with what's going on construction wise.
Right.
We're always in constant communication with admin. Once a month, we have an admin meeting, and we're talking about what's coming. You know, we're scheduling right now. I'm getting ready to have the moving company come to our admin meeting and explain the moving process to my administrators, because, you know, I don't know what's going on with moving. So it's better
Right.
from him. So he's going to come in, talk about the boxes, talk about the process, and start, because we're not moving till May, but everybody's chomping at the bit. Oh, we got to start packing. We got to start doing this. You know, it's like,
Uh-huh.
take a breath. We're going to be
Right.
fine. You know, so just little things, and that whole coordination piece is huge, because we're taking stuff from some schools and moving it to other schools. We're bringing in new stuff. I mean, it's just a big shuffling the coconuts is what I say all the time. It's like you just got to make sure everything's getting where it needs to be, and a good process to get it there. You know,
Yeah.
that's the key to it all. You have to have a plan, but you have to be able to adapt from that plan too, because the world's not ending if the plan's not working. We just got to figure out
Right.
a way to do it, you know.
Yeah. So really what I'm hearing is that you basically are now doing two jobs. You're the
Maybe.
director and you're now managing at a very micro level individual projects.
Well, and I have a gentleman on my staff here at the shop that's alleviating some of the day-to-day stuff from me. So
Right.
it's still there. When you get into our positions, people call us control freaks, maybe. I wouldn't say I'm a control freak, but at the end of the day, if my name's on it, I'm gonna have a say in
Right.
it.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's always there. It's like with our work order system, we put a lot of effort into getting it up and running. And there's just some things, you just have a hard time letting go of. And it's
Uh-huh.
not so much letting go, but it's just monitoring, just to make sure, hey, we're getting this done, we're getting this done, we're getting this done. So when I see people and they tell me, hey, I need this done, well, if you haven't put in a work order, we can't read minds. Help us out here. We'll take care of it. And
Yeah.
I know everybody on this podcast has heard, it's been broke like that since it hasn't worked since we moved in, is what they say. That
That's what
building opened 25 years ago. So if it hadn't worked in 25 years, that's kind of on you, not me. It's
right.
been a work request. Our track history over the last 2 years, we've closed over 3,500 work requests. So we, contrary to popular belief, we do get some things done.
Absolutely.
But
You know,
but it's
one of
and that goes back to, like we talked in the beginning, the communication piece.
right.
People have to be able to communicate, and I explain to teachers all the time, we've made it real easy. It's a QR code, you pop the QR code, you put it into work ticket, you're done. Takes longer to call me and complain that it's not done than it does to fill out the work ticket. We've timed it
Right.
45 seconds to do a work ticket.
Right.
So, and plus you save yourself a lot of aggravation because you don't, you notice it, you don't turn in a ticket, then you see it for a second time and you're getting cranky because it's not fixed, but you haven't told anybody. So it's just like a snowball that builds up. So by the time we do turn it in, we're all cranky about it, which we don't need to be. It's like first time you see it, turn it in, we get it fixed, life's good.
Yeah. We just implemented a new work order system this summer. And before we did that, the only people we would let submit work orders were head custodians and office staff.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why it had just always been that way.
Yeah.
Um, and
There you go.
so
You answered it, Burke. We've always done it that way.
we've always done it. So I said, okay, when we do this one, we're going to let everybody, be able to submit their own work orders. And they use, their Google Signal sign on. So it's real easy. You don't have to
Yep.
create an account or anything. And my guys were like, we're going to get flooded. We're going to get so many work orders that are just made up and blah, blah, blah. Hasn't happened.
Nope.
And actually what it's done is it's improved the feedback loop because, a teacher would tell the head custodian, hey, my room's hot. The head custodian would put the work order in. My guys would show up there at 6 a.m, fix the problem. Teacher never saw him. She didn't know whether it was done or not.
Yep.
And so the staff was left wondering, like, is it fixed? Is it not fixed? I mean, it's a little warm in here right now, but did they fix it already? Whatever. Well, now whoever puts the work order in gets the response.
Yep.
And we've had to work with our staff, like write something that, don't use all of your HVAC lingo, like, make
We
it so
changed the
people,
thermocouple and
yeah,
the control cage got greased. Did we change the belts? It's working now.
explain in normal person language what you've done. And it's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, we've received kudos because of it.
Well,
So
and that's like we talked about, the whole communication piece, and when you can, it takes a little bit to prove that it can get taken care of like that. But once you get to that point,
right.
it's like everybody takes a breath and says, okay, well, we know stuff will get done,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that really helps. And that helps, there's been studies about building, presentation of buildings, comfort of buildings, stuff like that, that control, people's mindset, attitudes, So if the building's running properly, it's clean, everything else, it just helps the big picture with everything as
Yeah.
far as people coming with a positive attitude, and serving everybody to make it better, basically, is what it
Yeah,
is. So,
absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about KADPF,
yeah,
which
yep,
is the Kansas Association of Directors of Plant Facilities.
yep,
Um, so really it's our state organization, made up of primarily K-12. We also have some junior college participation in there, community
correct,
college participation.
yep,
Um, and so we have an annual conference, excuse me, every year that is growing like crazy. But talk a little bit about why you like being a part of that. And
I tell you, the biggest thing with KADPF is everybody that's a member of KADPF is in the same boat. We're all
uh-huh,
fighting the same issues. We're all looking for different ways to do things. Um, Maybe not necessarily looking for ways to do things, but maybe suggestions with things. One of the big things that kind of really eye opened everything for me in the KDPF was during COVID. We all kind of up here in the Northeast region, we've got a little group of directors up here. We get together every Wednesday. We have breakfast. We shoot, we talk shop, talk problems, talk how we're handling things, and it's just kind of like if it's anything, it's a relief valve. Where
right,
you the guys you're sitting around the table with know exactly what you're talking about. And hey, this is how we do this, or this is how we might not do this.
right,
So you can learn a lot from collaboration with people in the profession. And my goal in the KDPF is and it's like every organization, we want to grow, we want to get numbers bigger. Um, yes, we do, but it's more, we want to inform more people. We want to let
right,
people know throughout the whole state of Kansas that we're all here. You might be out in Colby and you got a question, and if you put it on if you put it on a question to everybody, I promise you'll have 20, 25 responses on that. I mean,
right,
we talk about the serving thing to our districts and our children and our staff and all that kind of stuff. The KADF membership is, we're all about serving each other. I mean, we're all about doing whatever we possibly can to help make your job easier with stuff.
right,
And I think forever it's just kind of been, I would say we probably haven't marketed ourselves the greatest with the KDPF, which we're hoping that's changing. We're kind of shifting the tides a little bit. We just got accepted to be a part of the USA Kansas, which is
mm-hmm,
superintendents, the HR, the bookkeeping person, you name the different levels in the school district, they're all members
right,
of it. So I think it kind of validates us now. We're under that umbrella. So and that's going to help us reach more directors. A lot of directors I know, and I used to probably be one of them guys that's kind of set in their ways, but once you figure out, you can never stop learning and never stop getting better with things. And the tools are out there to help you learn and get better. I mean,
right,
it's pretty special, and you get to talking to other people, and hearing their stories, and
right,
learning their stories. You learn from people's mistakes, too. So,
right,
I mean, and we've all made them, so if I can tell somebody, hey, don't do this because boy, this doesn't turn out too well for you, I'm happy to say that because nobody else needs to go through that experience, and that's kind
right,
of just helping each other. The other big push I'd like to see, and we've talked about a little bit in the board with stuff, but on KDPF side, we're looking to possibly look at a certification process for facility directors and plant managers. Missouri has one now,
mm-hmm,
Oklahoma has one now. So we're kind of looking down that avenue a little bit, and there's a couple different reasons for that. I mean, I think if we could come up with a statewide certification process, I think it would help with pay. I think it helps with bringing us the seat to the table that we need to be at as an administrator, because
right,
all the other administrators are certified with stuff. So it just kind of helps that whole process. And I also think it helps in grooming the next I mean, I think there was a statistic out there as far as like the average age of facility directors, and like
Right.
over half of us are retiring in the next 10 years. Who's going to fill them shoes?
Yeah.
So I think a certification process, if you have a young man or a person in your organization you feel like could take over your role, you could start priming them and getting them in the right avenues and building from within versus all of us old dudes just hopping from district to district. It should be a
Yep.
facility director.
Well, I see it, and just on the stats of my podcast. I mean, this is a very targeted group of people, right, that would listen to this.
Mhm.
And I think like 90% of the listeners are over the age of 50.
Yeah, yeah,
So maybe share this with your younger people
exactly.
on your staff. Share this podcast. Show them what they could work towards, or what's for their future. I mean,
Right. And the same thing with the KADPF. The KADPF isn't just for directors; it's for
right,
staff too. We have a lot of our conference breakout sessions. We talk about custodial, we talk about ground stuff, we talk about field turf. I mean, and we're always open to talk about anything anybody wants to talk about. We have a suggestion box to where guys can put in a topic, and we'll find somebody to come talk about it, or one of us will get up and talk about it if we know about it. It's all about information, and it's all about gathering facts and using them to the best of your abilities is what it's all
yeah,
about.
yeah. I mean,
And
nobody needs to be an island. So like if you're in another state, I probably every state has something like this
yes,
that you could get involved with. I felt like an island when I started. Like I didn't understand anything about schools and how they work and what this job really entailed. And so, I mean, I had experience to do it, but to be around other guys that are doing the same thing that I'm doing every day makes it made me give I had a lot more confidence once I started connecting with other people in the state that are doing the same thing.
yep, yep,
And
that's for sure. I mean, and that's what it's all about. Like you said, it's all about communicating. And if you're not in the state of Kansas and your say your state doesn't have an organization, you're more than happy to piggyback on us if you want to. I mean, we're here to
right,
help everybody. And there's a national organization too, another level up above this one that
right,
we meet. Um, we just had a conference down in Nashville for that, and great things are coming from the national side of stuff too. The certification process, as a matter of fact, was discussed at the national conference.
oh,
If
fantastic,
you can get it back nationally, then it really gives you a lot of accreditation for it.
yeah,
The other thing that was kind of interesting, Missouri talked about this a little bit. I always refer to Missouri. I'm going to give Charlie a big head over there, but
I
anyway,
know,
they, he talked about going to the insurance companies for the schools and saying, hey, if we have personnel that are certified, trained to take care of these buildings, can you start giving us a little bit of better rate on our insurance? Because we're showing to you that we're hiring people that are qualified to do these positions. And
right,
it's a conversation going on right now that looks like it's possibly going to happen. So that's kind of a win-win for everybody. I mean, that's a win for the district. That's a win for it. Frees up more money for the kids and staff and everybody else too. So
right,
there's good things that can come of it. That's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take it's a long process. But I kind of, my vision with this would be, if us and Missouri and Oklahoma can get on the same kind of certification program, we can kind of piggyback off each other. And there's like 8 different blocks that you take for the certification thing, to where, say I miss this block in Missouri, or I work in Kansas and I miss this block in Kansas. Maybe I could jump over to Missouri and take it and it still counts. And just
right,
it's kind of like everything else, that's working together. We just, the other states want to work together too. That's the thing. I mean, everybody, you're never going to find a bigger group of people that want to help each other than our group we have right here.
right,
And that's why I do. That's why I'm involved with it. I mean, I truly, deep down in my heart, believe that there's nobody else out there that wants to help as much as we do each other with stuff.
right,
And
yeah,
it's just a matter of people accessing it. Bottom line of the day, you have to engage, and it's
yeah,
not that bad. Put the little toe in, it'll be fine. Then just dive in, because You're going to find out more things. And probably one of the biggest things that people worry about is I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
If you're doing it, you're doing something. So you're not doing it wrong. You might be able to do it better, but nobody's ever going to sit here and say, oh, well, you're doing that wrong. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
last thing you're going to hear out of anybody's mouth. You know,
Yep.
it might give you a better idea on how to handle it, but they're never going to say, oh, you're crazy. I mean, that's not this group. This group is
No.
all about helping and all about making people better is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I just encourage anybody, like if you're in Kansas, contact Mike or myself. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can email me, go to my district website, get my email. I'm sure Mike would be open to talking to
oh
you
yeah,
too.
I'll talk to anybody and everybody. I mean, there's strength in numbers. There really
Yeah.
is. I mean, and the bigger we are, the more information that's out there with things.
I will say it's very inexpensive to join, so don't let that be a hindrance.
Well, and the other part of that is, if you go to your superintendent and explain what you're doing, I promise you they're going to back you 100% and they're going to pay for it.
Right. Yeah.
Don't worry about the cost thing. I mean, they will find a way. From my experience, if it makes you a better employee, they're more than happy to
Yeah.
take it. So don't let
So
the cost be even a remote issue. And if it is an issue, give me a call and we'll figure something out.
that's right. Well, and everybody else that's listening outside of Kansas, find your state organization, find something to get involved with, just so you can be around some other people. It's just invaluable.
Yes,
So,
100%.
well, I'll tell you what, I finish every one of these episodes with kind of 3 quick questions.
Uh-oh.
So doesn't have to be long answers. So the first one, if you could snap your fingers and fix one issue, whether it be in your district or in the world or in society or whatever, what would it be?
For people to be good humans.
Amen.
I mean, that's just be a good human,
Amen. Yep.
We have a little thing here in the shop that it's called DBAD, and I can't tell you what that means, but don't be a okay.
Yep. Yeah, we can fill it in. No, that's good. That's good. Okay, so when do you get your best work done? Like what time of the day do you save those hard things to work on?
I tell you, it's all day. I mean, it just depends on the issue, and I say crisis. I tell everybody all the time we don't really deal with crises. If you see me running, it's a crisis. But usually it's pretty, it's just whatever hurdle we're trying to get over or whatever task we're trying to figure out. You just got to plug in and go. So, I mean, I like to tell you, it happens better this time of day. Usually from like what you talked about a paperwork standpoint, but nobody's here, I can crank out a whole lot of paper.
Right. Yeah, same with
But
me.
it's just, in our positions, I really feel like you just got to be on your game all the time.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to be the next thing coming.
Yeah.
And just when you think you've seen it and heard it all, wait.
Don't ever say that. Don't ever say I've heard
Exactly.
it all.
Yeah, it's like, wow. So, yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, last question. Do you like take notes with a digital system or you take notes on paper?
I'm still old school. I do the paper, but I will every once in a while, depending on the situation, I'll do the digital thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I come from a time where they didn't teach us to type. So
Oh yeah.
I'm a great typer. So it's easier for me to write my notes down and then go back and put them in later.
Right.
With digitally. And that's just something I've never explored. I could probably learn how to type, but
Right.
there's so many things going on. There's so many things you can do. It's just you don't have time to do them all.
Yeah, just if it works for you, it works for you. I mean, that's really what it comes down
Exactly.
to.
Yep. You just have to adjust and adapt. So
Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks so much for being on this with me. I think we shared a lot of great information. I think people are going to get a lot out of it. So
sounds
just
great.
thank you
I
once again.
appreciate you. I appreciate you having me, and everybody be safe out there. Take care and go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. Absolutely. Man, that was a great, great Sunday night.
That's how it should be though. And win, lose, or draw, that's how the Super Bowl should be every year. It should
Yep.
be under the wire, 2 teams just back and forth, back and forth. And a mistake is what's going to lose you the game. you know,
Yeah.
and it's just, we are very blessed and very fortunate. I've been a Chiefs fan my whole life, and I had season tickets in the 80s and 90s, and
Oh, you're
all you old
dedicated.
timers out there will remember Lynn Elliott missing 3 field goals to the Indianapolis Colts, and I believe Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback at that time. And it was like 10 degrees, and we lost 10-9 in the playoffs. And I want to say we were the #1 seed at that time too.
Oh my gosh.
So we've lived the whole, just like when they were all crying about Buffalo's kicker missing that field goal. And it's like, been there, done that, boys. We got that T-shirt a long time ago. You just don't remember that.
And now we got the right kicker.
We have a lot of good pieces now. We're very blessed, and
Yeah.
I cherish every playoff game we're in. I don't take anything for granted. I know that at the end of the day, end of the game, that number 15 is going to give me everything he has in his body to win a football game. And that's all.
Sometimes I just wish he did it in the first half and not the second half.
He's got to put some flair on it. It's entertainment too,
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, it's all good. I mean, we're going to ride this as long as we can. We had an unfortunate thing happen at the rally the other day, but
Yeah.
we're going to learn from that. We're going to overcome. And, it saddens me that takes away from what that was about.
Absolutely.
Goes back to just be a good human.
Be good humans. Go to a parade and have fun.
Exactly. Be there for the
Yeah.
purpose,
Yeah.
But that's enough said about that. There's been enough said about that over the couple of days. So thanks again for having me, and good luck to everybody. If you need anything, reach out. It's Piper USD 203. Look under the facilities tab. You'll find my information. Shoot me an email, call me. I'm 24/7, 365. So other than that, have a great day.
Well, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it. Have a great one.